I'd like to call the April 6, 2015 Emmaus Borough Council meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First on the agenda this evening would be personal appeals. If any member of the audience has a personal appeal, please approach the podium, state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to make your appeal.
Good evening, everyone. John Hayes, representing tonight the East Penn Chamber of Commerce. You have in the correspondence list a letter written by Kate Hartzades, who is the president of the East Penn Chamber, regarding a sign project that we'd like to undertake in the East Penn Chamber footprint. That includes the areas of Emmaus, Upper Milford, Macungie, Lower Mac, and Albertus. We are proposing 4 sign locations within the borough, and I'm requesting approval of council to place the signs. That would be subject to property owner approval. We do need to obtain that, as well as ask council for waiver of fees for public works to install the signs on our behalf. The 4 locations that we are looking at are in front of the old fire company number 3 on Dalton Street, on the the southeast corner of the high school property at the intersection of Pine and Cedar Crest. The third Emmaus sign actually will be in Upper Milford, so it's outside your purview. That's going to be in front of Pickles, but we're fairly confident no one knows where the line is there anyway, so that should work. And the 4th location is proposed to be in front of the First Niagara branch at State and Harrison. So I think you've received a copy of the correspondence from Kate. I also sent in copies of the proofs. We're going to be duplicating signage that's currently in place in the Western Lehigh footprint, and there are several signs already up. They are 30 by 36 heavy gauge aluminum construction. Each sign will have one business owner or one business as a sponsor of that sign. It'll be placed below it. We're not going to be going for a banner or billboard approach here. One sponsor per sign. The signs are warranted for a 5-year period. So we think it's a good move for the community. We think it's something that everyone would appreciate. We've gotten very good responses from Upper Milford. They're permitting us to place 4 signs as well. Borough of Macungie and Lower Mac right now are requesting zoning approval, which we're not quite sure why, but we're continuing to argue those points. Albertus is well signed. There are 3 signs already in place in Albertus from a borough business revitalization program a few years back. So again, requesting council approval for placement of the signs and for a waiver of public works fees for installation.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Questions? Mr. Barrett.
We did review this at the General Administration Committee, and we are recommending approval. Would you like to take care of that now, or should I wait?
Yeah, please. No, go right ahead.
So the committee met on April 1st. We reviewed this. We reviewed the signs, and there was one item that did come up. And Mr. Lindbergh, if you wanted to speak directly to that.
You wanted to put a sign in front of fire company, old fire company number 3, which is, I guess, owned by Kelly Buick.
Correct.
The borough actually starts at Dr. Bub's office, which is before you get to the turn, going into the bridge there. And there is currently a sign there now that was put up by one of our service clubs, and it's only like this big and it's all faded. So I'm glad that you're doing this, because I've been wanting this for the entrances to the borough for a long time. I just feel it's more appropriate to go there, because that's the actual start of the borough.
Okay.
And as far as putting one on the other end of town, I mean, after hearing this for the first time, because we weren't sure, we knew of 3 signs, we didn't know the 4th sign, and now we know why, because it's outside the borough. I actually prefer that the borough, welcome to the borough, starts where the borough starts, not in Upper Milford, and I just think that's wrong to do that. People should know where the borough starts and ends, not just make assumptions nobody knows. People do know, but the people that don't know, they should know where it starts for real, not by where you want to designate it.
We took the approach of locating it there. We just thought it was the best location in terms of lay of the land, not running into getting lost in front of the strip malls, or when you get up towards Schultz property, you've got a drainage basin to contend with, along with the slope of the property.
I could understand it, but
Yeah.
one thing that I got excited about was when we found out about the size of the signs. I don't think they're going to miss it if you put it somewhere along that stretch where the borough actually begins, because your size is, right?
You're big.
It's
That's
big.
correct.
And that's what I'm excited about that. They're not something that, you have to look for. You're going to see it.
Absolutely.
So I don't have a problem if it's somewhere along the stretch on Route 29 there, anywhere along where the turnpike is, as long as it's inside the borough limits.
Go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
And is your thought that would that work for you, or were those placements?
We'll take a look at everything that we can and do our best to make it work. Absolutely, I understand the concern. We looked at it just in terms of lay of the land, and we'll take another look at it and see what we can do.
Okay, yeah, I mean, the committee was in favor of it, as you heard Mr. Lindbergh say. But I mean, you were the one that was most concerned on placement.
Yeah, that's my end of town. I mean, I live right there, and I know where the borough, so where Dr. Bubb's office is, before that, on that side of the street, that's Salisbury
Well,
Township.
I know, I grew up on Fernwood Street, so
Yeah,
I
and
know
then on
exactly
the
what
other
you're talking
side is the
about.
Stryer section, which goes all the way down to the light. That's all
Right.
Emmaus too. But on that side of the road, if you're gonna post a sign, that's where it starts, is right at Dr. Bubb's
Okay,
office.
yeah, absolutely, we can approach him and see if he'll grant us permission to do so. We did, when we talked to Mr. Pepe, he was clear that
And there
we
is a
did need.
post there, so it's
Right.
not like they have to put a new one up. It can go on the one that's right
Oh,
there.
okay, you think it's still in good shape?
Oh, it's practically new, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Barrett, you'd like to make a
So I'll
motion?
make a formal motion to recommend approval and also waive the fees associated. I'll place that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second to Mr. Barrett's motion? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. And let me note for the record that the mayor and Mr. Brown are absent this evening. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it,
thank you
Mr.
very
Hayes.
much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Auto Slows are 121 East Elm Street in Mass. It was either late January or early February, I believe you had your public hearing or public meeting concerning the Klein's Lane Rodale purchase,
Yeah, it was January 19th, I believe it was.
January 19th. And is it accurate to say then that you presented that as a plan to move all borough operations to that site? The administration, Public Works, fire, ambulance, police, is that accurate?
That was the presentation, yes.
Then I have a question. Does the borough have plans, either formal or informal, or discussions to build a fire department or fire building, firehouse in the compost area? Have you ever had discussions or plans on that?
No.
No?
That's not true? Okay,
No.
thank you.
Sure.
That's creative, though.
Good evening. My name is Steve Stelz. I live at 221 North Street in Mass here. I'm here on behalf of the other residents of the 200 block of North Street. My immediate neighbor on 225 North Street, the former Discovery Preschool, has requested a zoning variance. I understand that this is not the zoning hearing board, but I just wanted to make Borough Council aware of the planned zoning variance. The owner is intending to turn the existing daycare into a 4-unit apartment building. As such, the owner has requested a variance from the borough zoning regulation of requiring 8 parking spaces to only having require 4 parking spaces. This will create a major issue for the residents of this block. Even with the playground, there's an existing playground currently behind the daycare right now, and that's what they're planning on turning into the 4 parking spaces. The apartment residents will have other driving adults who live with them, as well as guests who come to visit. 4 spaces are not nearly enough for 4 apartments. We already have an existing issue that has been well documented with the Borough Police Department of one resident on the block who owns 4 vehicles, which are parked all on the street and rarely move. One of these vehicles was finally towed after sitting for nearly 4 months with expired inspection tags. With that issue already at hand, having an apartment building with grossly inadequate parking will undoubtedly create major issues for the taxpaying residents of the block. This will also cause a stormwater runoff problem onto onto my personal property if the playground is turned into a macadam parking lot. The existing ground net right now slopes towards my property, but it has not been an issue with stormwater because it's a playground and it's not macadam, so it infiltrates into the ground. But if it will turn into a macadam parking lot, everything will run off directly into my garage. So we strongly recommend that the variance not be granted. And thank you for your time and
Sure, thank
consideration.
you. Are you aware of the date and location of the zoning hearing board?
It is next Wednesday.
Here.
Yes, yes. And my, another neighbor, actually, Jen Sheehan, I believe, emailed you, Mr. Pepe, concerning this as well, and you sent something back to her, and she also dropped off. We created a petition and had numerous residents in the area sign that petition. I have a couple other residents who have signed since then also, so I don't know if I can give that to you guys tonight, or if I should keep that and present that with the zoning.
Yeah, so would you like me to respond to Mr. Stones?
Yes, please.
Okay. So first of all, there's a couple issues with the property that require a zoning hearing board. Not only the parking, but the square footage of the property does not support, the square footage of the building does not support 4 apartments. So the zoning hearing board would have to roll on that. Now, you, as a borough council, has the option to send a representative, which normally when we send a representative to the zoning hearing board, it would be our solicitor. If you were to oppose, or if you were strongly in favor of something, but if you felt this is something that we need to oppose as a council, we would send our borough solicitor to that hearing and testify on your behalf as to why we shouldn't, or as to why they shouldn't do it. Remembering that the zoning hearing board is, by all purposes, an independent body from you. But there are some things that are concerns. Our zoning officer has some concerns. Parking is definitely one of them. I had encouraged the neighbor that take the petition to the zoning hearing board, present that in your testimony, have your neighbors show up. I mean, that's the way to show the zoning hearing board that the neighborhood as a whole opposes something. Because if they find all the neighbors are opposed to it, and it creates a hardship in the neighborhood, then, you know, they tend to rule that way. We can't sit here and say what way they're gonna go, we never know.
Sure.
But that definitely helps your case.
Okay.
If the neighbors don't show up, then they're going to assume that nobody's really opposed to it.
Understood.
So I would encourage that you have your neighbors show up.
So is there an alternate plan where you don't send a solicitor, but you can send a letter saying, you know, we oppose this because of the lack of parking here? Or
In all
it supports
reality-
if 4 parking spaces is all they can provide, that means maybe they should only have 2 units there then.
You could send me to testify on your behalf if that was your directive. I think if you were to have a directive, I would ask that you as a council vote to do that though, as a whole. If that's something that you wanted to, as an entity, oppose, we could send a letter, but in reality, it's a formal hearing, so we should testify on the record in front of the stenographer.
Okay,
As to
I'll make
what
a
you do.
motion that we recommend Shane represent the borough opposing a 4-unit facility with reducing parking from 8 to 4. I think, if anything, it should be only 2 units because they only have 4 parking spaces, or not have it at all. I mean,
If the building even can sustain 2
Mr.
units.
Labenberg has made a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Shubsted. Discussion. Mr. Anders.
I mean, does the building even sustain 2 units?
I believe it does. And I believe that zoning would allow for 2 units. I believe that's the conversation I have with Mr. Farnsworth. But it definitely would not allow for 4 as the zoning ordinance is written. That's why you have zoning hearing board hearings.
In the parking issue, I'm trying to picture the street, and I do apologize.
No, sure.
Which, you said North Street.
Yes.
Where, like,
Straight out the front doors of Lincoln, 2 blocks down on your left-hand side, there's a
Yeah.
small daycare.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
When's the hearing? The 15th?
Yes.
That's 6.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Mr. Barrett?
Yeah, I mean, I'm uncomfortable voting on this without all of the pieces of information to send a representative on our behalf. So I'm going to vote against it for that reason. It may be more than valid. I just don't have all the information and would like to talk to some of the residents, et cetera, before I vote in favor of sending a representative to the meeting.
Mr. Labenberg?
I just want to say, I did get the zoning sheet saying the meeting, and they were asking from 8 to 4. Just knowing that it's in a neighborhood, and he did say that they're going to be adults, they're going to have people visiting, and most people, if there's 2 adults, they have 2 cars. So right there tells you 8 cars with people, well, potential 8 cars with people living there. So, and just in that alone, I support this.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of sending Mr. Pepe to the zoning hearing board meeting? 4 in favor, those opposed. Mr. Barrett is opposed. So Mr. Pepe will be at that zoning board hearing testifying on our behalf, at least relating to the parking.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for coming.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank you
your
very much.
time. Any other personal appeals? Moving on with the meeting, community minute. Any member of council have anything for our community minute this evening?
Jeff has his hand up.
Mr. Shubsta.
Yeah, just want to make an announcement that this year again is Earth Day on Saturday, April 18th, and the Borough of Emmaus and Upper Milford Township will be working again together between 8:30 a.m. and 12 p.m., rain or shine, and gathering at Community Park. Hopefully everybody comes out for it.
Thank you, Mr. Shubsta. Mr. Barrett?
And there is the annual, I think it's the 38th annual Emmaus 4-miler on Sunday the 12th. There's a kids race that lasts about 10 minutes that starts at 9:15, and then the actual 4-miler starts at 9:30. So if you're up and outside on the northern portion of the borough here, you'll see about 450 or so runners through the town for the Emmaus 4-miler.
Very good, thank you, sir. Anything else? Special presentations, I see nothing on the agenda this evening. Reading of the minutes. Let's look at the minutes of the March 16th Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Is there a motion to dispense with the formal reading of the minutes? Motion by Mr. Shubsta, is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Any additions or corrections to the meeting minutes? Upon hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the minutes as drafted? Motion by Mr. Barrett, second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Moving on to decision on bids. I notice we have a decision for this evening, Mr. Pepe, curb and concrete contractor. It looks like we had one bid that came from Mr. Zagura Concrete, 4946 Jasper Road, Emmaus. Looks like he appropriately bid on all options and is being recommended by staff that we award the bid to the lowest qualified bidder, that is Zagura Concrete, 4946 Jasper Road.
And this is for your CDBG curb cut projects.
Very good.
That was my question, okay.
Is there a motion in that effect? Motion by Mr. Barrett, is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion? Mr. Labenberg?
Only one bidder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember last year we had 2 bidders and that didn't go so well.
Didn't go so well at all.
As a matter of fact, I don't think he's allowed to bid on anything in Lehigh County anymore.
Mr. Barrett?
Were these numbers in line with what we had expected?
Yeah, slight increase. I mean, you can't compare anything to last year, that's why the guy was so cheap.
Right.
Any further discussion?
All right.
That's why
All those
I
in
was-
favor of awarding the bid to Zagura Concrete? We have 5 ayes. Moving on to communications, we have a community event information sheet from Krista Pegnetter of the Emmaus Public Library. Has any committee begun dealing with this? No one has begun.
Is this for the 75th?
Does anyone want to begin dealing with this?
We do
Yes.
have Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec?
tomorrow, if that's where you'd like to send it.
Sure, I'll send it to you then, Mr. Anders, to Parks and Rec. If you could begin the process of evaluating, I'd appreciate that. Moving on to a letter from Kathy Haney Please allow this letter to serve as my notice of resignation from the Civil Service Commission effective May 22nd, 2015. I'll refer that letter to the Public Safety Committee.
Ask for a motion to accept her resignation effective that date.
Very good. Could I have a motion to accept her resignation effective May 22nd, 2015? Motion by
make that
Mr.
motion.
Barrett. Is there a second? Thank you. There's a second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion? All in favor? We have 5 ayes. Moving on to a letter from Kate Hart Zayats, which I believe we dealt with Mr. Hayes. That should all be taken care of. Next on the agenda would be a letter from Mike Hoffman. It is with great enthusiasm that I ask to be appointed to another term on the Emmaus Planning Commission. Mike Hoffman. I'll forward that letter to the General Administration Committee. Next would be a letter from Joe Dito of the Emmaus Veterans Committee informing us community event information of the May 25th Memorial Day Parade. I believe that can be forwarded to staff to deal with that issue. I'm assuming that is the same as every other year.
Yeah, as far
Looks
as-
like no change to me.
far
Bleacher
as
sound
what-
system and podium, looks like we're good with that, so that can go to staff. Then the second part of that is a banner waiver request of $125 to waive the fee for the installation of the Memorial Day Parade banner from April 20th to May 11th, 2015. Someone like to make a motion to waive the fee for the installation of the Memorial Day Parade banner? Motion by Mr. Labenberg, second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion, Mr. Barrett?
Historically, we have waived this, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Moving on to a letter from Laura Fetzer from the Friends of the 1803 House with the community event information on a very merry Halloween to be held Saturday, October 3rd on the grounds of the 1803 House. Looks like it has street closure request to be forwarded to the mayor, as well as some parking requests, loudspeaker they'll provide. Mr. Pepe, is this one just to go to staff and the mayor?
Yeah, this is the annual.
The same as it always is, correct?
Yes.
Very good, then I will forward that information to staff and to the mayor for the street closing. I see they also have a banner permit application, but they are not requesting a waiver that I see.
Nope.
Very good. Moving on to a letter from Linda and Bob Bamer to bring our attention to concerns at Third and Seam. They are requesting an evaluation of the conditions and concerns listed on the attached sheet. Mr. and Mrs. Bamer have a long list of concerns, and they would like this to go to the Public Safety Committee. So I will forward Mr. Bamer's concerns to the Public Safety Committee. That's all the communication that's in your binder this evening. On your desk, there is some more communication, beginning with a letter from Paulette Labenberg of the Emmaus Special Entertainment Committee notifying us of the 36th Annual Summer Concert Series and Kickoff, May 31st, 12 to 9, and Sundays, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. I believe that would just then go to staff, Mr. Pepe. I don't see anything in there that would be out of the ordinary. Oh, I see at the back, last page at the bottom, May 31st is part of the kickoff event, a Duck Derby fundraiser, product and food vendors, live animal presentations, and an Air Products liquid nitrogen demonstration.
So.
Council would need to act
Yeah.
upon the live animal
Yes.
presentation. I think anything else is already taken care of. Tents and everything else is taken care of. So I believe then we'd need a motion to approve the live animal demonstration by the Wildlands Conservancy to be held on May 31st. Is there a motion to that effect? Motion by Mr. Anders. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion? Mr. Anders?
Just that I know we have had animals for Community Day, and there was another event last year that we approved.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Next on my desk, I have a letter from Barb Cole of 802 Lawrence Drive, referring to the pool. She would like a summer intern to have fun programs for kids, make it more widely known that adult swims should be time for children to take time out, rest, bathroom breaks, hydration, have a chair corral so regulars can leave chairs instead of carrying them in and out, sell cheap bike locks from the dollar store so they can be locked up at the bike racks. I'm assuming she means her chairs can be locked up at the bike racks?
Yeah, since she's there every day, she doesn't want to carry her chair back to her car.
I bought her a half dozen chairs last year. Number 4, lifeguards are wearing all sorts of shorts and tops over their bathing suits, and they looked extremely sloppy and unprofessional.
Agreed. We're taking care of that this year.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Number 5, early closings are getting out of hand, and we'll deal with that in a little bit. After weeks of icky weather with a big crowd, and everybody was whistled out of 440, a Labor Day specifically.
Number 6 is great.
Number 6, retain
This is good.
Brent, DJ Dutch for the fun dip and dances. And number 7, professional cleaning of the bathrooms over the summer
Brett.
at the top left. Thank you, Brett. And
Says Brett.
better
Brett.
quality paper that doesn't disintegrate when pulled off the roll. So I will refer that to the Parks and Rec Committee to address Mrs. Cole's concerns. Next would be, looks like an email to Kathy Yandel from Lynn Seagraves of the Big Red Barn, 516 North Street. I'm assuming that's the health food store across from Jefferson School. They'd like to have a health fair in front of the store. They feel strongly about education and would love to use this opportunity to give back to our community. We have several vendors and organizations interested in donating free samples and doing small demonstrations. Vendor samples would be available, local martial arts, healthy bakery, gymnastics, chairs set up for massage, free blood pressure screening, and a clown making balloons. And an appearance by our cow mascot.
You want the road closed as well.
Oh, thank you, I was wondering. We're requesting a street intersection in front of our store at North and Perkiomen be closed down, as well as a stretch of north that runs the length of our storefront. The day we're looking at is Saturday, June 13th. The time will be somewhat negotiable, but our normal hours are 10 to 5. So that should be referred to the mayor. Is there anything else we need to deal with? If the mayor closes the road, they should be able to do that. Mr. Ladenburg, sorry.
Well, if you read that, it's saying, so that's the alley that comes out of Jefferson and goes across the street to where their store is.
Correct.
You would have to close the whole street down, that, unless you barricade. She's requesting in front of the length of her store, which is, one unit basically.
Right.
Either you just put a roadblock there and people will have to do K-turns to go back and forth in and out of that
You'd probably want to
west
close.
side.
Right.
And on the east side, you
I'm
would
assuming
probably
it's-
just stop it at the stop sign, because I think those properties there front on Fifth Street.
Correct. There's one small one that fronts that way.
But I don't think you should close the whole street down for 7 hours for a business when people live there and they need to come and go from their
From their own
homes.
homes, correct.
So I think it should just be in front of the store like they're requesting, not the whole street.
I agree. We'll have the mayor deal with that. And I see one more, but that looks like it is no committee notes.
Sanitation.
Very good. Anyone else have any communication? Mr. Pepe, any other communications?
Nope, that's it.
Mrs. Gilbert?
No.
Anyone on council? All right, moving on. Borough Engineers Report, we have no engineer this evening. Solicitors Report, Mr. Sturba?
Good evening, sir. No report.
Thank you, sir. Unfinished business part 1 is an ordinance regulating the activities of transient merchants. That is ordinance 1123. And that is properly advertised for second reading this evening, Mr. Pepe?
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to read ordinance number 1123 in short title? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion? All in favor? We have 5 ayes. Ordinance number 1123, an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, regulating the activities of transient merchants, defining relevant words and phrases, establishing a licensing program, providing for exempt persons and activities, and providing penalties for violation thereof. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 1123? Motion by Mr. Barrett, second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. Mr. Labenberg.
Just a question, have we had any permits given for ice cream trucks yet in the borough?
This year, no.
Because I had one in my neighborhood tonight. First sign of spring, I guess.
Did you buy anything?
No, I did not.
I didn't sign fairs.
Okay. Just wanted to know.
Mr. Shubsta.
The only question I have is on number 8, where we exempt persons. It's 8, A, number 2. It says persons selling personal property if the proceeds of the sale are to be applied to a charitable organization. How do we know that they're a charitable organization? Like, do they have to come in and prove that?
How do you,
I don't know. I mean, save the bald people.
I guess if I'm in here trying to sell my nightstand, say it's for the wrestling club, it's probably kind of weird. Normally they have a form that would say wrestling club.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they should be able to prove in some way that it's for a charitable organization.
Okay.
Any further discussion? It's a roll call vote. Mr. Labenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mr. Shubsta.
Aye.
Mr. Anders.
Aye.
Mr. Holtsafer votes aye. Ordinance passes. Moving on to ordinance number 1124. An ordinance removing handicap parking signs. Is there a motion to read ordinance number 1124 in short title? Motion by Mr. Barrett, second by Mr. Anders. Ordinance, discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Ordinance number 1124, an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending ordinance 1099 and chapter 15, section 602, 2A of the Emmaus Borough Code, removing a residential handicap parking sign on the public street located in front of 638 Walnut Street and adding residential handicap parking signs on the public street located in front of 570 Broad Street and in front of 525 Broad Street within the Borough of Emmaus. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 1124? Motion by Mr. Anders, second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Am I supposed to call roll call vote? Oops.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me, this is a roll call vote. Mr. Labenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mr. Shubsta.
Aye.
Mr. Anders.
Aye.
Mr. Holtsafer votes aye. We still have 5 ayes. Motion passes.
You kind of suck.
Thank you for not changing. Moving on to unfinished.
No, you have one more.
No, there's one more. I'm sorry, there's another.
There's
2 more.
Okay.
There's a couple of them.
Ordinance number 1125. The ordinance dealing with
Committees.
the committee structure. Is there a motion to read ordinance number 1125 in short title? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Ordinance number 1125, an ordinance amending the provisions of Chapter 1, Part 4, Section A, Committees of Council of the Borough of Emmaus, Consolidated Code of Ordinances. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 1125? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Labenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mr. Shubsta.
Aye.
Mr. Anders.
Aye.
And Mr. Holtsafer votes aye. You have 5 ayes. Moving on to new business. This is ordinance number 1126.
26. It's under new business.
It's under new business, ordinance number 1126, dealing with the prohibition for carrying any firearms in a public park and the use of deadly force. Is there a motion to read in short title? Motion by Mr. Labenberg. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. This is ordinance number 1126, an ordinance amending Chapter 16, Section 103, subsection 10, and the special rules for Triangle Park dealing with the prohibition for carrying any firearm in a public park and the use of deadly force for self-protection and for protection of third persons. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 1126? Motion by Mr. Labenberg. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion. Mr. Labenberg.
Yeah, is this just for Triangle Park that is something that we missed, or is it for all parks? I just
For all
want.
parks, and
Okay, that's
if
all
you
I need
read,
to know.
yeah, if you read the ordinance, you clearly made the attempt in 2001.
No, I know,
to fix
we
this.
all thought we did it.
Yeah, we
here.
did.
So, anyhow, I just wanted to make sure it was all parks. Thanks.
And our solicitor has, our solicitor's seen this and agrees that we're in compliance now. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Labenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mr. Shubsta.
Aye.
Mr. Anders.
Aye.
Mr. Holtzapher votes aye. That was first reading of ordinance 1126. Do you have an intended second reading?
First meeting in May.
First meeting in May. Thank you, sir. All right. Moving on to unfinished business part 2. I have nothing. Items not on the agenda subject to Rule 9. Any member of council have anything? Mayor's report. Mrs. Gilbert.
Progress.
Committee reports. Public Works. Mr. Labenberg.
Progress.
Health, Sanitation, and Codes. Mr. Shubsta.
Thank you. We have, the notes from our meeting are on your desk. We had 2 personal appeals at our last meeting. The first was denied from a Steve Lekmaric. He had asked about, he had 2 units for his trash bill, but his building is zoned for 2 units, and it was based off the ordinance that that he pay for the 2 units. The second person that came to the meeting was Kim, Clinchy, of 244 Main Street. She explained to us that the building used to be occupied by a boutique and the Emmaus Main Street partners, but as we know, the Emmaus Main Street partners now have their own building. She now has a business there called Turn the Page, and it is 1 business in the building, so she asked that we change the trash bill being billed as a 2-business unit to 1 business unit. Motion by council was by the committee was 3-0 to eliminate the second bill, and I'll place that in the form of a motion if anyone has anything different to change that to 1 bill for a commercial establishment based on the ordinance of 102.4.
Motion by Mr. Shubsta. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. Mr. Barrett.
It appears, if I understand it correctly, it says that it was changed 6 months ago. Is there?
She requested the change, yeah. That
Right.
the business
So was there
changed.
anything is she owed anything? If there's 6 months that, okay,
No.
Possibly, but no, she didn't request.
okay.
No.
I mean, you could prorate in return, but she didn't request that. She was just requesting to not
So
have
she
to pay
didn't
2
take
this year.
2 at one point and then 1 at another?
Well, there used to be 2 in there.
There used to be 2.
Correct.
Right, I understand that,
Now, the
but
building's
she
zoned for
wasn't.
She
1
didn't.
business.
Okay.
She's not the building owner.
Right, okay.
The owner is not in the state right now, so he sent her the 2 trash
That's fine.
bills.
I just
Now you're correct.
wanted to be
on
sure I understood what we were voting on.
Yeah. So now it's just currently 1 business that's in there.
that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? We have 5 ayes.
The only other thing that we had, I have questions, is we have issues, I guess, with trash collection this last Tuesday, and we'll discuss that at our next meeting, which is scheduled April 16th at 4:30 PM, and I'll report progress.
Thank you, sir. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Anders.
Yes, I have several items on the agenda this evening. First, our next meeting is April 7th at 4 PM here in Chamber, at Council Chamber, excuse me. The first item is to hire Public Works part-time employees for the 2015 summer season. I would like to put this in the form of a motion that we hire the following individuals. Zach Hahn of Emmaus for $7.50 per hour. Noah Smith of McCungy for $7.50 per hour. Josh Andrews for $7.75 per hour. Lucas Schaff for $7.75 per hour. Taylor Schaff, $7.75 per hour, and Jordan Stenruse of Emmaus for $8.75 per hour, and these are all part-time employees.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Lavenberg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes.
The next item is a request from John Dyshala, who is our Public Works Director. He is requesting the authorization to close Emmaus Community Pool during the week of August 31st through September 4th. He goes on to say, historically, the week has been very slow at the pool, with the East Penn School District's first day of school being August 31st. Staffing is also a concern, with many of the lifeguards returning to school prior to that week. The pool would remain open on Saturday, September 5th, and Sunday, September 6th, during the hours of noon to 8 p.m., and Labor Day, Monday, September 7th, during the hours of noon to 5 p.m. And I would like to put that, is that a motion?
It's up to you.
If you'd like to make it to a motion, or you'd like to take it to your committee and discuss first.
We do have committee meeting tomorrow. I'd rather hear what the committee would have to say before putting a motion out on the floor.
That's fine. If you just want to keep that on your agenda for the next meeting and have your discussion tomorrow, that would be great.
Thank you. Next on the agenda.
That's a point.
The agenda is to hire the pool managers. Again, this came from John Dyshala, and it is in reference to the pool managers that had served last year, Sean Bailey and Catherine Gladys. And for this, the rates for the pool managers would be $10.75 per hour, and they would once again split the $2,000 bonus at the end of the season. I would again like to have this on our agenda for tomorrow's Parks and Rec.
It's fine.
Okay. And last but not least, we have to hire the concession stand manager. This was also interviewed by Mr. Dyshala, and
Actually, they were both interviewed by me.
they were? I'm sorry. I saw John's name. Well, then let me just ask, are you comfortable with the selections?
I made the recommendation for both.
Okay.
They're the best options you have.
Then, instead of taking it to committee, may I,
Well, that's your option. If you guys want to talk about it in committee or here, it's
I
up
can
to
put it
you.
right here.
Considering you don't have any other options at this
No, I
point,
feel comfortable.
I'd make the
making
motion still.
recommendation to hire Tiffany Reed based off Mr. Pepe's recommendation. And that is at a salary of $6,240
For the summer.
for the summer pool season. And
That's $13 an hour, right?
Concession stand, thank you, sir.
Just so everybody understands, it's not.
So there's a motion on the floor to hire Tiffany Reed this summer as the concession stand manager at a rate of $13 per hour with an anticipated total salary of $6,240. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Lavenberg. Discussion. Mr. Lavenberg.
If we're gonna eliminate a week, possibly, are we gonna still keep this the same? Because we're taking a week away from work.
So she's still going to do the same amount of work. She does all the planning. She starts earlier than everyone else. She also has to do all the wrap-up at the end of the season.
I understand, but
So-
if there's a Monday through Friday that we're not open, she's not there.
She still does all the food, all the wrap-up, all the end of the year closeout. She has to try to sell that food after everybody's gone.
Well, we're going with it. We're going with an hourly rate with an anticipated maximum salary. We're not saying that's what we're going to pay.
Okay,
She has an
so
hourly
she's still
rate.
gonna go by hours. Okay, I
Yes.
misunderstood.
She's
it then.
hourly.
I thought it was a salary, sorry.
I apologize, it's $13 per hour.
Okay.
At a maximum rate of
Further discussion.
240.
All those in favor of hiring Tiffany Reed? We have 5 ayes. Moving backwards now, Mr. Anders, you'd like to make a motion to hire Catherine Gladys.
Catherine Gladys and Sean Bailey, $10.75 per hour, and then they would once again split the bonus at the end of the season.
Very good. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion. Mr. Shubsa.
I guess, according to the notes here, Shane, you guys sat down with both of them, discussed the goals and everything and the problems and the
Correct.
issues that occurred last year?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've had endless discussions on a permanent fix of getting rid of the rotating door. We've all decided that's not going to happen in 2015. Reinventing the wheel, I mean, they didn't do a poor job considering they were thrown in the middle
No,
of a
they
mess.
were young.
There were things, though, that they need to address and they need to improve upon. And we sat down with them probably for 2 hours each and discussed those items.
Accountability and stuff like that. Okay.
You had a very young staff last year, very young. And that showed through in a couple instances. And we're looking at adding some extra precautions and training and some other things to try to deal with that moving
Okay.
forward.
And who will their direct supervisor be?
That was established last year, that's Jay.
Very good.
Kleckner.
Very good. And he's comfortable with that role, again, in these employees?
That's why we pay him as a team leader in
Very good.
in that department.
Okay, very good. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the hiring? We have 5 ayes. Thank you very much for that effort, Mr. Pepe. That was,
Yes, I do apologize.
No, that's okay. If you wanted to talk about it in committee, that was fine too.
Yeah, that's good. With that, I'll report progress.
thank you, Mr. Anders. Moving on to public safety.
Mr. Barrett's gonna.
Mr. Barrett would have to
Yeah, I will give this report since,
be the one.
yes.
Mrs. Gilbert's preoccupied, Mr. Brown's missing, so
Yes, so
you're it.
I'll take care of it. We actually only have one item that needs official action, and that is to appoint Gabe McNabb as the driver of a driver of 731, fire truck 731. I'll place that in the form of a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Labenberg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes.
And otherwise, for public safety, I will report progress.
Thank you, sir. You can move right into general administration if you'd like.
Yes. General Administration also met on April 1st, and we have a number of items. Well, actually, we've taken care of many of the items. We still have more items to take care of. We have 3 appointments to the Planning Commission. We conducted interviews on April 1st, where we interviewed 3 candidates. One was someone that had previously been on the board, and the other 2 were new. The committee, well, I'll start with one at a time here. The first one is to recommend Robert Toth to the Planning Commission with a term expiring April 1st, 2019.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Labenberg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes.
So the second was a little bit more complex in that the person had applied for the Planning Commission. When we interviewed him, we also realized that based on his background and work history, he'd also be very qualified to serve on the Civil Service Commission. So we posed the question while we were there, but we didn't think that was fair to put him on the spot. We asked that Mr. Pepe later reach out to him and ask him if what he was really leaning towards was just the Planning Commission. His response was yes, he would be significantly more interested in that. And so we met today at 6:30 to make that an official recommendation to council. And that is to recommend David Weidman to the Planning Commission with a term expiring April 1st, 2019.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Labenberg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes.
And if I could ask that a very nice letter be written to David Biles, who has served as a volunteer not only on the Planning Commission, but also on the Authority Commission prior to that. I think actually since 2001, he's been a volunteer here in the borough. And we greatly appreciate the time and effort that he's put in over those years. We also have a reappointment to the Planning Commission for Mike Hoffman. His is back in your communications. and his term is also expiring,
4/1/15.
yes, for,
Oh, no, 19 it'd be.
his expires 4/1/19, is that correct?
Correct, it just expired on the first.
Right, okay, just making sure that everyone was the same. So I'll place that in the form of a motion to appoint Michael Hoffman to the Planning Commission, with the term expiring 4/1/19.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Lavenberg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Serious.
And then
All right,
in
so
your,
is that a full slate on the planning commission now?
it is, yes.
Well done.
And I
First
think,
time in a long time.
yeah, and I think it's definitely moving in the right direction, which is great. You also see in your packet that we have a request from PPL for some easement agreements to place a pole on the fringe of Community Park and also at Furnace Dam. PPL will pay $1,000 per pole. The committee felt that that was warranted, and we will place that I'll place that in the form of a motion to grant the easement to PPL for those 2 locations.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Second by Mr. Lavenberg. Discussion. All in favor? We have 5 ayes.
And
Anything else this
that is
evening,
all
Mr.
I
Barrett?
have. It is all I have. Progress.
Thank you, sir. Budget and Finance Committee. We'll begin with the bill list. It's Resolution 2015-11. Would you read that resolution, please, Mr. Shubsta?
Okay, Resolution 2015-11, resolved by Borough Council to authorize payment of the April 6, 2015 bill list as follows. Bill list, $265,858.70. Payrolls number 6 and number 7, $247,479.65. Payroll taxes, $86,432.34. Total, $599,770.69. Done this 6th of April 2015, and I'll place that in the form of a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Shubsta. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda relates to the Oak Street property at the far south end of Oak Street. There is a piece of property that was purchased by a man that, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but it's kind of a confusing situation. Is there anyone not aware of the situation? So everybody's aware of it?
Just brief.
So, the man bought a piece of property at the end of Oak Street on which he intended to park a trailer. He then limited the access of residents that live on South 7th Street to the only parking that they have, which is behind their townhomes. I believe it became a police issue with those residents calling the police because he was limiting their access. The borough feels we have right-of-way across the property, and unfortunately, whoever developed those townhouses somehow missed officially is that the right term? Officially declaring the property. So somehow it was kind of a lost piece of property that then private citizen, I should say, bought. So to eliminate any further issues, we decided it would be in the best interest of the borough to purchase the property. Mr. Pepe negotiated a price of $2,000, so it is the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee that we purchase the property for a price of $2,000. And if someone would like to make
So
that
moved.
into a motion, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Motion by Mr. Lavenberg. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion? All those in, go ahead, Mr. Pepe.
Could you just read the PIN number off with the motion?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
that way we can identify the property.
You got it. That would be PIN number 075494525902531. Thank you, ma'am. You good?
Oh,
Go ahead, Mr.
we're in
Lavenberg.
discussion yet?
Yes.
Just where this is coming from, that's what line item is coming from to pay for it?
We're gonna have to take it out of contingency fund.
Okay, thank you.
The
definitely
bottom
not a plan
line
that's
was,
No, I understand we
Yeah,
have to, I just want to know
I
where it's
mean,
coming from.
the benefit for us is it's a cost issue. If you wanna fight him in court, you're going to spend much more than $2,000 over something that isn't worth fighting for. I mean, it's worth fighting for, but what you're going to spend to buy it versus what you're going to spend to go through the legal procedure, we'll spend that in a day, just preparing for court.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Also on Budget and Finance this evening, you'll notice that Mr. Pepe has drafted the request to the General Authority for purchase of capital items. He's very clearly outlined the items that we have budgeted for, and we'd like to see them, if they are going to purchase items that we have budgeted for. And these are items that we've either purchased or plan on purchasing in the very near future, that a reimbursement would be prepared and able to happen within this budget year, which makes our lives a little simpler. So is there a motion to forward that request to the Emmaus General Authority? Motion by Mr. Labenberg, second by Mr. Shobsta. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. I believe that would be progress for Budget and Finance. CRD, Mr. Shobster, Mr. Anders, any report?
No, I don't have anything. Do you have anything?
No, next meeting, April 14th.
Thank you, sir. Very good. Moving on to Personal Appeals Part 2. If any member of the audience has a personal appeal, you may approach the podium and present your appeal. Hearing none. Borough Manager's Report. Mr. Pepe, I've seen your significant revenue and expense items. Do you have anything else for us this evening?
No. Progress, if you don't have anything for me.
Anyone?
See the
Anyone?
snow removal gone?
It'd be nice to see the snow removal gone.
Yes.
I agree with that. And I'm certainly hoping that you don't see any more.
President's business, I have nothing this evening.
I do under my other hat. Just to let you know, the pension board is meeting on Wednesday, 2 o'clock. We're going to be conducting interviews for actuaries, and we will be making a recommendation to council at our next council meeting.
Very good.
The auditor will be present.
He will be? Very good, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Upon hearing nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Barrett, is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders, discussion, all those in favor? We have 5 ayes, we are adjourned at 7:57. Thank you, gentlemen.